Hi, everybody. Welcome to the short-term rental permits how to do webinar that's being put on today. I'm John Hedden. I'm with the town of Nantucket with Health and Human Services. I want to thank everybody for signing into the webinar today. Obviously, as many of you know, this has been a long time coming, so we're excited that things are finally rolling along now. As many of you are probably aware, the online platform began March 4th. And today we have a little bit of a walkthrough, so it's good. I want to introduce David Kraus, who's with Rent Responsibly. And he's going to go over some tips on renting in a harmonious manner. And we also have Matt Eckstein from GovOS to provide a walkthrough of the registration process. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to them.
Great. Thank you, John. And a little late, I'm on the slide. So these are our faces. John just introduced us. So we'll slide right along. My portion of the presentation today is preventative practices for happy guests, happy neighbors, and peace of mind. As John mentioned, I am Dave Kraus. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Rent Responsibly, and we focus on this exact topic. We focus on the harmony between communities and vacation rentals. And so we have identified the top 3 issues, sometimes called hosting headaches. And we know that when these 3 issues are tackled and prevented, that the community is happier, the city's happier, the guests are happier. And so we feel it's quite important. So let's start off with trash. So trash on the island is very important. Obviously, if improperly managed, the trash can lead to unattractive properties, bad issues like pests, but moreover, complaints from neighbors and things we want to avoid across the board. On the island, it is required, you may or may not know this, but it is required to separate recycling and regular trash in clear plastic bags, but your guests aren't going to know that unless you tell them. So ensuring you have enough cans, enough bags, and instructions for your guests are the most important things. The private trash services are there for your use. And the other key item to note on the island is the inspection requirement. So having a caretaker or your owner walk through the property prior to the next guest, that's going to ensure that you have eyes on the property and that the bins aren't out on the wrong days. Obviously, you can't always time turnovers with trash day. So those are the core things to get right on trash. Number 2, we have parking. I'm from Massachusetts, so I'm well aware of narrow streets and other issues that come with living in a wonderful state like Massachusetts. But with vacation renting, we often have 3+ guests, and folks might not know how easy it is to get around the island. So they might rent a car, have a car, so forth. So education of your guests is critically important. The key advice we have for hosts is to communicate with your guests early on and ask them, are you bringing cars? Ensure they know the parking limitations on site. And then most importantly, educate your guests about where alternative parking is should they have a surplus of vehicles. I know that there are 2 extra lots just outside of town on Washington and Silver Streets. Park and rides are available, and I'm checking my notes here, but the parking lots with free buses, right? These are amenities, and they will help your guests have a better stay, and again, avoid hosting headaches, neighbor headaches, things of that nature, critically important. Lastly, to keep an eye on your property, we do recommend exterior security cameras. That way you can remotely manage and ensure even after the fact, you knew what happened with the parking situations. Very preventable, sensible solutions. All right, the big one, noise. Noise does account for 75% of complaints from neighbors. There is technology out there, Noise Aware Minute, a few others. I was actually the founder of Noise Aware before, so I have very intimately involved with discussing noise at the municipal and neighbor levels. But what we know is noise is very preventable if interceded in the early goings of any issues. On the island, quiet hours are 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Very important for you to know, but also for your guests to know. And during the summer months, that the morning hours end at 7:30 a.m. to give a little extra time in the morning for quiet hours. The ordinance reads that anything that rises to the noise pollution level would be voices or amplified music 100 feet from the source or the property line. So just understanding the small lots, especially, it's a sensitive topic and certainly one you're going to want to educate your guests on and have a responsible agent who can respond to the property if you need one. All right, this is my favorite part of the little 101 session here, because I think all hosts, all managers have a spidey sense, right? You kind of know what's coming with the different guest groups. So there are ways to use your communication patterns to advance or prevent hosting headaches and protect neighborhoods and your neighbors specifically. So we'll go through the 4 steps quickly. Pre-booking, that is your listing. Make sure you are communicating the proper expectations at your property to any prospective guests. So if you haven't in a while, go through your listing, pretend you are a guest, and see where you can add notes or add any house rules, things of that nature, to ensure that guests know what to expect when they come to your property. Post-booking, you've got the booking. Now everybody's excited. They're thinking about their trip. They're starting to pack. They're starting to plan. You're going to want to communicate very clearly what the expectations are and the alternatives, right? This is a great time to mention parking limitations and alternative parking, as well as the trash. You know, folks come from different communities. They don't know the rules there till you tell them. Pre-stay, everybody's at max excitement. They're probably not reading everything you send to them. That doesn't mean you shouldn't communicate again the opportunity to help them prevent their own headaches, should it be noise, parking, trash related. These are all really important. So 1, 2, 3 times communicating before they get there is really protocol. And lastly, on-site signage, you know, put it near the Wi-Fi password or whatever is going to get your guests' attention. Things like trash, especially when people are checking out, they're likely going to be in a hurry. So making that information prevalent, using the opportunity to help prevent issues at these 4 steps will lead to good outcomes across the board. Lastly, as I mentioned, Rent Responsibly, we focus on good neighbor education, good standing, which is compliance. Matt will talk about that in a moment, how to get into the GovOS system. But we also house a lot of how-tos and other education resources and content on the Rent Responsibly network. You can join at network.rentresponsibly.org. It's free. We look forward to helping you with any of your needs, and look forward to happy hosting days, and we look forward to helping on a continuous basis in Nantucket. And I am going to turn it over to you at this point, Matt, to do a walkthrough.
Great, thanks, Dave. All right, not that Dave has all the good stuff, but now we get to look at some software. So as John had kind of alluded to towards the beginning of our call today, my name is Matt Eckstein. I am a solution consultant here at GovOS. I've actually had the pleasure of working with Nantucket through that pre-sales process and stayed close, right, to the implementation, the onboarding team, just to see this project come to where it's at right now. It's really exciting for me to be a part of this call. So thank you all. So first, we're going to start with how do we get started, right? Well, kind of what happens is all the properties that are within Nantucket, you're going to receive a letter, right, from the system. It's a registration letter. Within that registration letter, you're going to have a 6-digit certificate number and a activation code. Okay. So a lot of you may have questions. Where's my letter? When will I receive my letter? Those letters are currently outbound. If you have not received a letter yet, you will get your letter. For those of you who have received your letters, this will be a great starting point. If you'd like to follow along, you certainly can. With the time allotted that we have today, we'll be moving through the software quite quickly. But everything's going to be recorded. So this is going to be a resource for you to look back on when you are ready to engage with that registration portal, when you get that letter, and you can follow along those steps that we have that we're going to go through today. So this is a typical registration letter. This is a test letter. It will be addressed to you as the property owner, advising you what to do next. Most important thing about this particular letter is going to be the URL for where you can go ahead and register your property with GovOS. And then, as I mentioned previously, you'll have that 6-digit code and then that activation code link as well. Now, once you get that and you log into this URL, you'll be taken to a page that looks like this. Okay, it's going to be a GovOS page, and it is going to ask you to log in. However, most of you have never logged in previously, so you're going to go through a registration process. Underneath that blue login button, you'll see new user, where you can click register here. You can go ahead and click on that, and that's going to take you to a email verification step, right? Similar to if we need to go online and buy some Nike shoes, right? We need to create an online profile, then we can do some business, right? So same thing happens here, right? We'll go ahead and provide our email address. The system will automatically send you a confirmation email to that email address that you provided. And from there, you'll be able to enter in some profile information, okay? That would look similar to this. Once you go ahead and validate that email, you'll be able to set up a password, okay? Think of a password that you can remember. However, with modern systems, there's always going to be the ability for you to initiate a forgot password, which again, that will communicate back to your email address, verify your email that's on that particular account, and then you'll be able to go ahead and reset that password. We're looking for some basic information on that profile, just the password, and then some contact information, first name, last name, address. That's the basic information that we're going to ask you to create that online profile. Once you've gone ahead and done that, and I've already pre-created an account here, so let me go ahead and get logged into that profile. You will be presented with what we call the Business Center. This is going to be the home page for everything registration with the town of Nantucket. Okay, let's take a step back and take a look at the landscape of this particular page. So first off, you're going to have an action center up here towards the top. There will be special notices that the town can send out to you. It does give you an indication of what the purpose of this portal is. There are some special notices that are included over here towards the right. One note that we wanted to just chat about today is you do need to register with the state of Massachusetts to get your state license number prior to applying for this town of Nantucket license. So if you haven't done that yet, that'll be that first step in the process. You can go ahead and start that. If not, if you've already done that, you can then go through the process of linking, right, your short-term rental property with your online account. I'm going to take a step back here and go back to my letter, right, because I talked about the specific 6-digit code and that activation code as well. So what we'll do next is once we get logged into the portal, we'll scroll down the screen here a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and register an account. Once we choose to register that account down here towards the bottom, there's those two fields, account number and activation code. So at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and enter in a account number for a previously set up account that I have for today's demonstration, and then a unique activation code. Once we go ahead and enter those two fields, there'll be a lookup option. If it finds that matching record, your business will be listed just down here below. At this point in time, you can go ahead and select your role. Most of you would be an owner, right? Who's going to go ahead and register yourself as an owner. There are other roles in this particular process, such as an accountant, right? If you have somebody who's managing this process for you, they won't be the owner on the property, but they would be an accountant or an employee. Okay, you can set your role based on essentially what your role is with that particular property. I'm going to choose owner for the demonstration today and connect this business to my online profile. Once I connect the business to my online profile, I can return to the Business Center and you'll see a new section that's going to appear here, Open Tasks. This is for Matt Eckstein and Friends LLC. And I'll now have some tasks to complete as part of my registration here on screen. When you're ready to go ahead and begin that registration process, simply click on the first task that you'll see here, and that will launch the new page for you to go ahead and review and complete. There's a couple steps that we have along the way for you to register. The first is going to essentially be a welcome page, right? Welcome to the system. Here are the requirements of what you need to complete today. There may be future requirements. This page may change from time to time. You can always access this information once you, click confirm and move on to the next step. And I'll show you where that's located. So you don't have to worry about forgetting this information. You can always get back to it later. These are some prerequisites that you'll need before completing this registration process. And then here are the steps that's included. Fill out the application, upload evidence of insurance, operation agreement, and then you'll pay that short-term registration fee. Let's go ahead and submit this first step in the process, which would be that welcome message, that info screen. Now, similar to any type of application or registration form, you're going to go ahead and fill out that online form. Okay. It's similar to what you would complete with a PDF application. I'm going to go through down here through the various fields here and go ahead and fill out this type of information, but you're going to do the same thing. In this case, we're looking for some business information. That state license ID number that you get from the state of Massachusetts, you'll go ahead and plug that license number right in here. You will notice on this screen, there is a red asterisk next to some of those fields. The red asterisk designates that is a required field. So that is some information that you'll need prior to moving on to the next step in the process. We'll get down to the owner and short-term rental property information. You'll go ahead and put your owner information in there. Again, I have some autofill options on a lot of these fields. You enter your email address, that mailing city, mailing zip code, the rental property address, if that's different than your actual mailing address. Those are key pieces of information. A lot of the homes on the island, they may be a second home, right? Or a third home, or managed by a property management company. In that sense, you'll want to include that mailing address of where you'd like to receive any mail from the town, but the actual property address will be listed down here towards the bottom. We're also asking to provide the number of bedrooms here, and then that maximum occupancy, okay? Please note the maximum occupancy is the number of bedrooms times 2 plus 2. So you can go ahead and enter that number here. And we also have this acknowledgement for you to acknowledge that occupancy is true and accurate. We'll ask how many nights were rented on the property last year. If you do have a cottage on the property, an additional dwelling, you can go ahead and indicate yes, and then fill out some of the information here as part of that process. I'll go ahead and bypass that. This caretaker and property information or property management company information, you'll go ahead and fill that out if you do have a property management company that's managing that property for you. And you can go ahead and fill out the details on who is providing that service to you down here towards the bottom. Emergency contact information. You'll notice that at least one person is required for this particular section. So in case of an emergency, the town knows who to contact. Again, whether it be for loud noise, things like David mentioned, right? Parking, right? Trash, or any other reason to have somebody, visit that property to make sure that, everything is safe on that property. You'll go ahead and include that emergency contact person here. Last thing is to provide that electronic signature. In this case, I'll go ahead and put my name, my title as the owner, and then I'll just go ahead and do today's date when I sign that. Once we've completed the application, we'll go ahead and click submit. The next step in the process is going to ask us to upload a couple different documents. Okay. The first one is going to be that operation agreement. Okay. So This is a particular step in this workflow task, right? That is dependent on the previous question that we answered on screen. Okay, when we indicated that yes, we are operating with a property management company, it will ask us to upload that operation agreement. If you do not have a property manager that's managing your property, this particular document upload process will not occur for you on screen. Go ahead and select the file here. Do have a agreement file that will push up here, and we'll submit that. Simple upload process here. You'll select those files, navigate through your computer, and upload them. The other feature as well on here is if you do want to drag and drop files into this window, you may also do that instead of going ahead and navigating through your computer. Insurance coverage. This is the final document that we're going to upload during that process. So similar process. You'll select files that you want to upload. Go ahead and pull that insurance document, and you can include that here and upload that into the system. One other question that did come up when our group was chatting is, where do I get that property management, that copy of that agreement? If you have any questions about that, reach out to your property manager. Say, hey, do you have a copy of that agreement? I need to go ahead and provide that as part of the application process. Same thing applies for your insurance coverage, right? Call your agent. Your agent's going to have that documentation ready to go for you when you need it. They'll simply send it over to you and you can attach that here. All right. Now, once we've completed those steps of filling out the application, uploading the required documentation, we can go ahead and pay that fee. Once we get that fee here on screen, we'll click submit, and we will kind of proceed to a checkout page. Okay, so similar, not that I've used that that analogy of getting online and creating an online profile so you can do business, right? Same thing applies here. You'll be taken to a checkout cart. It shows how much you'll owe, and you can move on forward to payment method, which is going to be an option that you'll have down here towards the bottom in this orange tile. You will be able to make these payments online through a credit card. Okay, you'll have the ability to enter in that credit card number, expiration, CVC, that security code on the back of the card, indicate the country and the zip code, and you'll be able to process that payment directly through the application here. For training purposes today, I'm just going to authorize this with an ACH credit, and we'll go ahead and pay that fee. You will get an on-screen confirmation message that that payment has been received and successfully processed. At this point, you've completed that registration process, so you can return to the Business Center by clicking this lower left button here. At this particular time, even though you've completed the application process, the process for approving your short-term rental is not yet completed. Okay, you will see that an open task here is pending approval. At this particular moment in the process, the team over at the town of Nantucket, John and his team, is now aware that there's a new application to be approved, and his team will go through those applications and approve them. Once they are approved, you will get an email notification from the GovOS system that will bring you back into the Business Center so that you can print your license, and then you're fully 100% compliant to go ahead and operate that short-term rental. Before I show how to print your license, I always like to show other features that are going to be available to you through this platform as well. You will have the ability to see transaction activity and also information activity. So transaction activity, and I've done a couple of these here on this test account that I have, but anytime that you pay a fee through this particular short-term rental property or other properties that you have associated with your account, you'll be able to go ahead and view all that transaction activity here. As far as the informational activity, these are all the tasks that you completed as part of that application process. Okay, so remember when I said if you wanted to look back on that welcome screen, that info screen, to see the type of information that was provided to you to the town during that process, you can always come to the informational activity, click to view, and you'll have access to that information that you had to confirm and pass by before, and you can always get into that to review that detail here. Now for the license. So once you've gone through and you've been approved as a short-term rental within the town of Nantucket, you have the ability to go down and view and manage your account. So down here is the Matt Eckstein and Friends LLC. We'll go ahead and click on that. And this is your full business profile, okay? You'll see some basic information. All the information that you filled out on the property as you were going ahead and filling that out will all be available here under that business profile. To the right, you'll see all the permits, right, that I've submitted here. We'll click and open one of them so you can see what it looks like. You'll have access to account balance here as well. Let's take a look at that permit. So any permit that you have that's currently active will be listed over here under the permit section. We'll go ahead and click on that PDF icon, which will open up that short-term rental permit from the town of Nantucket. This will be your short-term rental permit. At this point, you can print this off and you're going to post it in a common area of the home that you have a license. And as this particular permit expires for the following year, you will be brought back into the system to do a renewal, completing some of the similar steps, and a new document will then be generated for that issue period. Last features here. If for any reason you need to update or change your account information, right? Possibly an address change, an email address change, that is all business that you'll be able to do from the business profile that you'll see up here towards the top. So specifically, we talk about this account name and address change. You do not need to call John, right? And say, hey, John, I changed my email. What do I do, right? Those self-service options are going to be available for you here. You can choose that account information update form, complete, fill out the form with any change of contact information. That information will immediately be available within the GovOS system. John will be able to review that and determine, and see those changes on your account within the system. At this point, that concludes our demonstration of the registration for your short-term rental with the GovOS system.